Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Let's get into the subject matter, shall we? I really want to talk about this subject because I found myself saying, I just don't have time for blah, 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 blah. So, pinkies up if you've ever said, I don't have time. Or I just don't have time, or something along those lines. Pinkies up. Anyone? See, everybody has. We've all done it. Guilty. You know, this pinky's up. You know what this particular pinky's up means? Guilty. Is it true, though? I remember one time I was at a conference and somebody was talking about Beyonce and all her fabulousness. And, you know, if Beyonce has time for it, so do you. And I was thinking, well, Beyonce's got a full staff. But you know what? What this woman was saying is regardless of all of that, she had the ability and the time to create, you know, double platinum albums one after the other. Now, she's not my exact cup of tea. Not going to lie. If I'm going to, I don't listen to that type of music. I don't listen to, I listen to all my stuff. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But Sarah says, I swear Beyonce has 36 hours in every day, but she acts as if she does. And that's one of her things. She even has a Sasha fear. She calls her stage persona Sasha. And she says, Sasha's fierce. And I love that because, when it's time to shift gears and to get into go mode and get stuff done and slay the day, you got to start thinking of yourself in terms of not, oh, I can't, it's going to be hard and what have you. And have you noticed this? And just a sidebar here. I know you have. That when you start doing this whole thing, you put off and you put off and you put off. And then finally you just had it and you said, that's it. I'm going to clean my office. Or that's it. I'm going to organize this or do that. And then when you actually do it, it's so much less of a deal than you thought it was going to be. It's really not as bad as we usually think it's going to be. I mean, something like cleaning the garage is always a disaster, right? It's always no fun. Sorry, this hair is hot. This is why my hair is always up. It is hot. So you understand exactly what I'm talking about. We all do this. I do it. You do it. We all do it. We collectively do it. And I think that it's a big mistake because we tell our brains then, you don't have time. And you know what your brain says? Aye, aye, Captain. You don't have time. Let's figure out a way to use up and mess up all of your time here. Instead, I think it's time for us to step into, I need to schedule that, or I'm going to put this in, or having a different mindset instead of telling our brains, giving our brains an imperative, a direction, a directive of something that we don't want, because that's not at all what we want. We don't want to not have enough time. We want to have enough time. So it's time, pinkies up, for us to stop saying, I don't have time. How about this? We can use different phrases. I need to schedule that. Let me look at my calendar. I'm sure I can fit that in. What about all of that? What do you think that's going to tell our brain and our reticular activating system? Don't you think it's going to shift gears in a massive way? I believe so. Because our brains always take the things that we say and turn it into a directive and an instruction on what to do and how to either mess up your day, take away your time, or, figure out a way so that you're not going to get anything done. And you're going to see, there's the evidence, But honestly, what it is that we gave that direction. That's the thing that we need to look at. Sarah's exactly right. Nothing happens later. It's true. It's true. Nothing happens later. We say, oh, I'll get to that later. My desk is a later project, right? What a mess and not helpful. So we need to figure out then for ourselves what it is that we need to get done, right? We need to figure out the priorities in our lives. We have to figure out all these things. And all, honestly, it's all going to look different for every one of us. Your priorities, you might have a stack of paperwork and some, things that need to get taken care of. I might need to be talking to Mark about changing inventory or whatever. We all have whatever the priorities are. We always have our own priorities. But you know what the core values are, though? That every single one of us lives in some kind of a dwelling. And we have to have control over our surroundings in that dwelling because our peace is at jeopardy otherwise. You cannot have inner peace if you have outer chaos. If your house looked like a bomb went off, it's time to deal with that. That doesn't come later. It needs to come now. And I'm not talking drop everything that you're doing, stop raising your children, and you know what I'm saying? But make a plan and start getting to it. Every single day, we need to do the right thing. Every single day, we need to get our act together. And if getting organized and all that is high on your list of things to do, I mean, for heaven's sakes, go now, open another tab and go to flytodayLady.net and start on her system. It's brilliant. It's stood the test of time and it freaking works. She understands what it is to just feel overwhelmed by a lot of chaos all around you. And chaos, by the way, stands for can't have anyone over syndrome, by the way. So there's the brilliance right there in that. And that's where we have to start. All the things, get them under control. Now, if you're like me, I'm a piler, not a filer. I think I showed you that yesterday. I've got stuff, my office is my albatross. But my office is also something that is no longer going to be in the neglect pile. And I'm working it into my schedule every single day. Because I want this. It doesn't make me happy. And I work in here all day. And it makes me feel bleh. So remember that. Your inner peace, you need to have outer peace as well. Visual peace is part of the plan. And that's number one. Number two is you need to bookend your day with morning and evening rituals. Now, this is a Fly Lady thing too. She calls them routines and she has certain things that you do. And this saved my bacon when I first started with her over 20 years ago. But I've elevated that up to a ritual because into that routine of emptying the dishwasher and doing all the different things, I also want to get in my journaling, my meditation, my goal writing, all of these different things. And it's all explained, and the gratitude, it's all explained here in the journal. This is why this journal is so effective and it helps you to get a grip on what your day needs to be about. It's everything. And when I say bookend your day, you can start your day with these certain things and doing like the next right thing, right? Including your food, including your movement, including your hydration and your meditation, getting it all done. And there's a way to do it and there's a way to order that day. And then at the very end of the day, you get to do the same thing by setting up for your next day and doing other things and doing little corrections and all of that. And it's just amazing how all of these things dovetail into each other and help you to start creating and redeeming the time of your day. Because remember, we're all in this together. We all have 24 hours. That's it. We all have 24 hours. And I'm going to ask you to give 7 to 9 of that away to sleep, and this I'll sleep when I'm dead thing. Well, you're on your way to faster dead if you're not going to take advantage of the sleep quota that you need, that we all need, right? So this is everything. You need to learn about putting together morning and evening rituals that support the life that you want to lead exactly the way that you need to do them. You can imagine over 20 years, mine have changed dramatically. And now that I'm home, without children and just a puppy and Mark and a business, things have shifted quite a bit. And my direction has changed. So all of that. Yes, right. It is an investment. You're right. Sarah said it's an investment. Nancy said she's excited to add our programs. I'm excited that you are, Nancy. And I'm going to see her. I can't wait. I'm going to hug you up, Nancy. So here's the thing. that we're looking at then too is that we need to look at our time as the time that we spend is an investment, or is it just frittered away? You know the difference. Once upon a time, I used to go to Starbucks every morning for coffee after I worked out, every morning, till one day I said, what if I stopped spending my money like that? And I added up how much it cost. And I never bought, anything extravagant. I didn't buy, muffins and all that garbage. I bought just a latte, and it was a grande. It was, it wasn't the venti. It was the grande. It was the middle one. And I deserve it, this, that, and the other thing. And then I added up how much it cost. I added up the money. Ka-ching! That's a lot of money. That wasn't an investment. That was just being frittered away. An investment would have been if I'd taken that same money, put it into a piggy bank, and then invested it in an IRA down the road. There's an investment. So we have to look at our time in the exact same way. Are we going to just fritter it away on that silly latte that you could, save so much money if you did it at home yourself? Or are you going to invest that time in yourself, in your family, in your relationships, in your home? There's a lot to look at here. Number 3 is piggyback on well-established habits. We've talked about this before. Do a 4-minute workout as you empty your dishwasher, you're waiting for your coffee to finish brewing. The things that you normally do, the things that are unmovable, those are the things that you add the piggyback habit to. That's it. Just one little thing. What is it that you're not getting in? What is it that needs to get done? Now, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people who think they need to have 2 hours for the gym. Mark is one of them, by the way. And I'm like, no. I've gone to the gym, several times with him, and I end up having to wait. No, I'm not going to do the gym like that. I do the gym 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there, 15, 10. Then I go walk with the dog. Mine's all broken up and dabbled in. It's scheduled and woven into my day, and it gets done that way. It's really incredible how that whole thing works, isn't it? And that's piggybacking. Like, okay, it's 1:30. Okay, then I need to go do this. Okay, it's this time, so now I need to go do that. We schedule, we piggyback, it works. And number 4 is that, of course, is scheduling your time. So here's the thing. If you are struggling with this whole concept of I don't have time and you don't know where your time is going, we have a tool for that. It's called the Time Block Sheet. Now, this tool is used, you can find it at savingdinner.com/time. It's free. It's a download, it's a PDF. And all it's going to do is block off your day so that you can see where that time is going. So that you're writing at 10:05, I flossed my teeth. At 10:06, I went and made, I went and put the wash in the dryer. I mean, not that kind of stuff, but just so you can see where those big swaths of time are going. Did you know, for example, this is number 5 is redeem your time, okay? 4 hours a day of TV is what the average American watches. 4 hours a day. That's 28 hours a week. That's 9 years of your life by the time you're 65. That's a lot of time. What if you redeemed that? What if you said, during that time, I'm going to do sit-ups, I'm going to do my push-ups, I'm going to do, you could do some kind of a physical activity. You can find a project to do. You could do, how many things can you think of to do instead of sitting there stuck to the tube? By the way, low vibe, if you were here for last week. TV's low vibe. It sure is. And it always makes me feel like crap after I'm done watching it. So use the time block sheet so that you can schedule your time, and then start thinking about, how am I using my time? Is this an investment of my time, or am I frittering it away? Is it 4 hours? We could all talk about binge watching whatever during the pandemic. I get that. But ladies and gentlemen, we're on the other side of that. It is time for us to step into redeeming and taking back our lives and back our time. We don't get it again. You don't get to go say, hey, you know what? I've decided instead I'm going to go and get these, get this time, redeemed. I've decided all that time watching X, Y, and Z or whatever it was that you watched during the pandemic. I want that time back. It's gone. And let me just tell you, I binge watched too. I did all that too. I mean, it was, a highly stressful time. But now on this side of it, I'm done with that. That's not going to give me an investment back, because that's what investments do. They give back. They give back. They give you worth. That's not what frittering away your time is. That's not what spending frivolously does. It's just gone. It's like getting a credit card and saying, oh, look, I have a $3,000 limit, and then going out and just spending it willy-nilly and never making the payments. And then not even saying, I don't even know what I spent the money on. True story. I did that when I was, my first credit card. It took me forever to pay it back, but I did. But I learned a big time lesson. That's not what credit cards are for. And then you need to sleep to reap more productivity. Can I just get an amen from you? Sleep to reap more productivity. That means that when you're sleeping, did you know that your brain, like around, and this is very particular hours, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., your brain starts to scrub itself. It does. It scrubs and cleans and gets rid of all the little plaques. What does that plaque cause? Dementia, Alzheimer's. It's all the things. We have to get that sleep. When we're getting that kind of restorative healing sleep, it corrects a lot of the stuff and the damage that's in there. Not only that, but so that's from 10 to 2. And then after that, you need to get at least 7 hours sleep. Not after those 4 hours. That would be 11 hours. You know what I'm saying? In addition to, it needs to be at least 7 to 9 hours. And I went through and did a whole show on what sleep was and what it wasn't. And sleep, it's not just the quantity of hours, it's the quality. And that's what I'm talking about when I tell you about that. It's a mind-blowing thing. I read that in Sleep Smarter. And there's all Sean Stevenson wrote that book, and there's all of the, studies that go with it. I looked them up. I read them myself. It's crazy. Number 7 is success loves momentum. And this is something that I've seen work in my own business, that success loves momentum. I have seen it with everything that I've ever, enjoyed in my life, everything, getting things done. Success loves momentum, but you've got to do it the way you need to get it done. If I just were to do it, and any time I've ever been asked, and I've been asked a few times, so many times, to write a little blurb for somebody, like a kudo blurb on their book. And they'll say, oh, we'll send you the PDF. And I said, no, send me the galley copy. The galley is what it looks like before it goes to print. And it's just, usually it has a spiral to it like this, or it's just it's a cheap copy. It says galley on it. You don't, it's a proof copy. But I want to hold it in my hand. I want to see it. I want to get the whole full picture. I can't otherwise do that. I can't see from a PDF. So that's why I do this. That's why I have my, the book sitting here like this, so I can lay it all out and look for holes. That's how that works. And that's how we get our own momentum going. We know ourselves. We know what works. We put that together and say, I'm going to print that out. Or, instead of doing this, I'm going to do that. That's on you. And it's up to you to be able to do it. It makes a big difference, and you will see the difference. I promise you. Number 8 is break it all down. One of the things that I used to do, just following my mom, was doing my laundry, waiting for this ridiculous amount of laundry to be piled up until the hampers were overflowing, right? And then, back to the whole Fly Lady thing, she taught me to do a load a day. Boom, my head blew off the top. And doing a load a day, I've never again, ever, ever, ever had a laundry issue, because I always do a load a day, pretty much around here, maybe not, maybe every other day, but there's never a pile of laundry. There's never 2 loads of laundry to do, never. And that just makes it doable. And then that comes out of the dryer. And sometimes there's smaller loads. Who cares? Why do we think, let me give you another one, running the dishwasher. Why do we think it needs to be absolutely full to the brim before we're going to run it? Well, if you're going to be pulling things out and washing them, and it's that the dishwasher isn't full all the way, the better use of your time, fill it up, put all your pots and pans, put everything in there. Just run it anyway. That's what I do. Nothing is sacrosanct. If I have wine glasses that can't go in the dishwasher, I don't want them. I don't want them. I just get them all done. Save water. Sure, Lucy. I do short cycles anyway. I do short washes. I do short cycles on my dishwasher, and I don't run the dryer. I do it on super hot water, then open it up and let it dry itself. But you know what? It keeps the wheels on the bus on. It keeps things going in my home. It keeps it done instead of just waiting on something else and then that being a deterrent for me getting it done. It saves me time. Get all your indentured servants working for you. Turn them all on and say, go for it, girlfriends. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to print out the book and read it, and put it all out. Number 9 is no is a complete sentence. What? No is a complete sentence. Did you hear me on that one? Do I need to say anybody else over volunteer here? Anybody here have a volunteer problem that their hands shoot up as soon as somebody says, hey, who can help? And you're just, oh, me. And meanwhile, your house, you've got laundry blowing up and you haven't gotten a clue what you're going to have for dinner. Meanwhile, your car needs to go into the shop and your taxes are late and you're volunteering. Out of order. Out of order. No is a complete sentence. When we are out of order like that and we're putting everything else in front of the things that we really need to get done, you know what we're doing? We're doing 2 things. One, we're showing our children that really your time on taking care of the most important things, your priorities, are not really priorities at all. What's more of a priority is being a people pleaser. What's more of a priority is showing everybody what good work you can do. What's more of a priority is getting out of the house and avoiding the chaos that you have here and allowing more of it to grow and to become, the monster that it can become. It breeds when you're not looking. I'm telling you, I did this. I over volunteered. I was all this till one day I found myself crying in the kids' nursery at church. I was in charge of it and everything. And, I was like, hey, where are the Titus women? Where are the Titus women coming alongside and helping us young moms out here? And truly, where were they? They were saying, hey, I had my time. I did my time. Not very biblical in my opinion, but that's what happens. And what we need to be doing is we need to start stepping into what our priorities are, what it means to our family, what it means to us, what it means to our home, what it means to the accomplishments that we really need to do, get a hold of so that we can get a hold of our time and get a hold of our lives. That's all we've got is time, hopefully. But when we fritter it away, we give it away and we give it to the next bidder, whoever wants it, and let everything else go by by the sidelines, we're making a huge statement that say, I don't matter, my family doesn't matter, and everything else doesn't matter because I need to volunteer so I can make myself feel better about over giving. And then I'll be a martyr later about it. I did it. I'm telling you, this is my story. And it just really, it got to me till finally I just said, that's it, I'm done. And I mean, I'm so much done that I pulled my kids out of all extracurriculars. I gave Tuesdays and Thursdays for doing music lessons and sports and everything. And if it didn't fit, it didn't go. I was not going to be going in and out of the car every single day. I needed to get order back in my home. And at this time, I was a freelance writer. This is before, this is right at the same time of just seeing about Flyleaf, before she had a website or a book or anything. This is just on message boards, right? I was just like, I'm going to somehow put this together. That's all. I'm going to put this together. And when I started pulling the plug on all these things and starting to stack the days and stack the time and be really, really conscientious of it, everything shifted. Everything changed. And suddenly I had time again because I was being a steward of my time and being very super careful with it. And it makes all the difference in the world. Now, the other thing too, that one of the biggest disruptors, meetings, emails, and phone calls. Unless it's absolutely imperative, don't do it or stack it or put it in a certain time and a certain whatever. But it needs to, you don't go to a meeting without an agenda. You don't answer phone calls from random, insurance companies. You don't, because how many spam calls do we get anymore? And your email, just because it's sitting in your email box, it doesn't need to be answered right that minute unless it has urgent in it. You know, all of this stuff helps us to redeem our time, and we can chunk things away. We can start seeing where it's going, and we can start redeeming it. This is what wise women do. You know, everything is under critical analysis, not so we can beat ourselves up and make ourselves feel worthless. No, this is to encourage you to say that you can get a grip on your time, that you do have time. It's just maybe not being utilized correctly the way that you want to. And I'm inviting you, do an analysis. Take a look-see at it. And you don't need to do it with a club in one hand so you can beat yourself over the head and say, oh, I'm just such a lousy manager of my time. Okay, fix it. You don't have to stay like that, do you? You're not a tree. You don't have to stay where you are. So this is where we start. You know, this is how we look at this time. And all this week we're going to be doing, this is just your basic, you know, whatever. But part of living a high vibe life and finding vibrancy in the path along the way is being able to utilize your time wisely in a way that makes you look and say, you know, it's a very good day. I had a great day. You don't want to look back on your day and say, oh my gosh, I don't even know where the day went. I didn't get anything done. I can't tell you how many times I've said that. And it's because I haven't been wisely in my schedule, on top of things, not doing things the way that they need to be done, and letting time just slip away. What a waste. Let's not be those women. Let's be the wise women who pinky up and show up for ourselves, for our families, and for the people around us that matter. Because when we are wise stewards of our time, then we get to do all the good stuff. We get to put the big rocks into that jar first, and then the pebbles, and then the stones, and then the sand. Everything fits, but not when we're putting sand in first. Then we've got all the big rocks, all the priorities in our lives just sitting there waiting to get handled. Doesn't work. Oh my goodness. Kathy said she read The Sleep Smarter in one day. Wasn't it fascinating? Such an incredible book. Anyway, that's our show for you today. I hope it was encouraging. Motivational Monday is about getting off our duffs and analysis, always. And analysis does not need to lead to paralysis, by the way. All you need to do is unplug that emotional whatever freight train that you might have and say, that's it. I'm not gonna plug in and say, oh, therefore I'm horrible. No, I'm gonna make this analysis and make the corrections. That's all. That's all we need to do. Isn't that a relief? I think so. Peace be with you. Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.